everyone, PushingUpRoses here. Welcome back to my art channel. Today I'm doing a paint showdown between the DecoArt Ready to Pour paint and the Artist Loft Premixed paints. They're just both pre-mixed, ready to go fluid art paints. I'm showing you all my colors now, but I'm gonna keep talking. So yeah, right now on the screen, I'm just showing you the layers or the colors I'm going to be layering. But I wanted to do this video because a lot of people showed interest in some of my jiggle pours. And I typically do my jiggle pours with the paint you're seeing on the screen now, which is the DecoArt Ready to Pour paints. And they're pre-mixed, meaning you don't have to mix them with Floetrol or any kind of pouring medium. They're ready to go out of the bottle. As you can see, I'm already layering my cup. Starting with DecoArt because I used to have a preference for DecoArt. So for the bottom layer, I'm putting in quite a lot of navy and following it with a little bit of white. Now navy is a very dark color and I like working with negative space. So if you've seen my paintings before, you're gonna see exactly how I get the negative space, is I put a lot of dark on that bottom layer, and now I am layering from light to dark, I think. No, I'm not. I lied. That doesn't appear to be what I'm doing. I don't know what happened there. But I am layering with various light to dark blues. Now the navy, since it's so dark, it almost dries black. I'm only going to put that on the bottom. Now I'm going right back to white. So from what I can see, I did navy, followed it with a little bit of white, and then I think turquoise or tropical blue, a lighter blue, and then sky blue, and then true blue, and then I'm just layering again with those colors. Not using the navy again. The navy is only at the bottom for my negative space. So as I'm doing the jiggle pour, I'm actually doing it sideways. As you can see, I don't know if you can tell by the way I'm standing, but I am doing this. I'm doing this on the canvas, but I have it sideways. I'm doing it like you would look at a diamond. So that's going to help me get the symmetry that I really want. So here's that navy coming out. And again, the navy was only used at the bottom and about a little bit more than the other paints. So take your time. It's not a straight pour, you're doing a jiggle pour. Take your time really getting those shapes in, because the point of this is to get those awesome feather shapes, which I'm in love with. I love these feather shapes. Now these are not typically the colors I would use. I go for more dark, kind of morbid colors. I love doing these in reds and black and purple. But just for the sake of this video and for I'm trying to replicate some of the paintings people showed interest in, I'm using the blues because you can just see the definition better. So yeah, that looked like a pretty good pour, as you can see. A lot of blue on the bottom there, which I like. I like that there's that true blue on the bottom, and I like that the navy is on the top there. And again, the navy is almost black, but I find that I don't want to use black on the bottom because it's just so dark, it's almost overpowering. So I use the navy and then it'll dry darker, but it still blends with those blues because it's a blue tinted paint. So this is going to be a wrecked jiggle pour, and that is how I get some of the feathering effects. You can do it just like this. If you tilted this just kind of in a left, right, top, bottom, you would get the symmetry. You would get those feathery looks if you wanted that, but I decided to wreck it because I wanted even more feathers. So I put a little bit of white around it so I can push the white into it and hopefully get a white kind of striking line. I'm thinking very hard. This is just the end of a brush, and there we go. So if you go right through the middle like that, right through all of those feathers, when I tilt it, they'll be even more feathery. They'll be very, very, very cool. Don't forget to wipe off your brush, otherwise it's going to get muddy. And I just did another one right there. I like that. I don't go wild with the wreck, as some artists call them. Molly's Artistry does a lot of wrecked pours. She'll do them with ring pours. I like doing them with jiggle pours like this, or straight pours. I think straight pours you don't get as defined feathers when you're doing a straight pour. In the straight pour, you almost get these rounded, and these colors that don't really mingle together So that's why I did a little bit of a jiggle. So I only did, I think, 2 or 3 wrecks. 3 wrecks. Check out Molly for her wrecked pours because she really wrecks them. She puts so many swirls in there. I just love it. So because I did this at an angle, I'm just trying to hit up each corner. So I got that bottom corner first because I wanted to stretch out that blue or purple. I think that's a blue violet in there. And I really, really, really... Is it blue violet? Or is it true blue? I can't remember. It's one of those colors. They're very, very similar. And now I'm going to go ahead and tilt off the majority over there because I want that negative space. So as you can see, I tilted that off second because I want to bring it back. I don't want that to be my last one. Where I want the negative space, I don't necessarily want that to be the last tilt or the last corner I tilt. I want to stretch it back and then do side to side. Because I always bring it back to center, I can go from left to right and get those feathers really, really, really symmetrical. Another thing I really like doing with these particular pours when I do the negative space and I do the feathery look like that, I can embellish this later. I commonly do. I'll either put stars or a moon or some eyeballs in there, or you can put some cat eyes, you can put some devil eyes even. You can go crazy with that negative space. Sometimes I just like it as negative space. I actually left a little tiny bit of blue. I didn't make it all negative this time, mostly in that corner, but I left a little bit of tiny blue because I thought maybe it would make a good moon. It has some shading, some gradation up there, and I thought that would be really cool. So yeah, I got the feathery look. Really happy with that tilt. It's very symmetrical because of the way I poured it and because of the way I tilted it. And then sometimes I'll take the end of my brush, always wipe it off, almost messed that up. You're gonna get mud. Just taking a little bit and doing a little doodad, just a little tiny swirl. I've done more intricate swirls, but this time I didn't think it needed too much. I actually really like the feathering around the negative space. So sometimes I'll do a little swirly heart, or I'll just do little curly cues just over there in the negative space, but I kind of liked it as was, so I just did a little tiny squiggle. And I think that worked really, really, really well. So this was the DecoArt paints in navy. Oh, I'm gonna torch it a little bit. See, now when I torch it, because some of that negative space went over the white, sometimes you'll get little white cells that pop up, and sometimes they can even kind of look like stars. So because I put that white around there, I didn't put a lot on. If I had put more white cells, maybe would have come up. But if you want some white popping up on that navy, maybe so they can look like stars or the implication of stars, you can, roll over the white when you tilt and then torch it, and sometimes you'll get those little white cells popping up. Okay, I'm just kind of fixing up my sides now, and that is the DecoArt. I love these paints. I don't understand when people say they don't like these paints, but for certain techniques, I think they're just absolutely wonderful. They're beautiful for jiggle pours. They're beautiful for ring pours. Sometimes I just don't want cells in my composition. And the pre-mixed paints, they usually don't get reactions like that. They don't get cell reactions a lot of the time. So I just love these. I think they're thick. I think they keep their definition if you do the right technique with them. I don't recommend these for flip cups because it's hard to get a cell reaction. Even with silicone, they get kind of out of control. So I really recommend these paints for jiggle pours and ring pours. So here's the close-up. Now that I'm seeing that wasn't true blue, it was actually blue violet. I will list the colors in the description, no worries. I know I ramble a lot, but I will list these colors so you know what I'm using. But look at those feathers. They're really beautiful. And look at the layers upon layers of feathers. And that's because I jiggled a lot. And again, it has to do with how you layer your cup as well. I had that navy on the bottom. It was the last to come out, and then I was able to get negative space. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing with the Artist Loft Premixed paints. I really like these paints too. I haven't used them a lot for jiggle pours or ring pours. I haven't really enjoyed them for those, but I do use these for flip cups sometimes because they have these beautiful transparency to it. and ribbon pours and stuff like that. I also sometimes will put silicone in these in a flip cup and then use a heat gun on them and get sporadic cells. But once again, these pre-mixed paints, they're not great for getting reactions on their own. You definitely need to put in extra work and they can be a little finicky. People tend to really love these paints for ring pours and jiggle pours. Well, actually, I'm not so much sure for jiggle pours, to take that back. So I'm going to give it a shot. Same kind of layering sequence with just a couple different colors. I started with bright blue, which is another color that darkens overnight when it dries. So instead of black, I went bright blue. Then I went with white and then turquoise. I got some aqua there, and I don't know why I did this sequence at all. I have no idea what I was thinking. I don't know why I did that. I should have put the aqua first, and then the turquoise, and then the purple. I find that you can get this fiery effect if you just, if you layer from light to dark, and then do it again. But I didn't. I really risked getting mud there. I don't know what I was thinking when I put purple on top of aqua. But anyway, just like the other jiggle pour, I am only using the bright blue, the darkest color on the bottom. And then I'm just repeating the other colors. And there it is. Really beautiful paint. In fact, I forgot how thick this paint was. I thought I had recalled it being on the thinner side, thinner than DecoArt, but it was pretty thick. All right, so I'm doing it at an angle. Again, right away I love it. Right away, it's nice and thick, and I'm getting the feathers that I wanted. The colors are beautiful, but the colors are limited for the Artist Loft. I find that their blues and purple are very, very beautiful. They also have a beautiful orange, but where's like the pinks and the magentas and the, I don't know, the ultramarines, and I want more green, and I don't know. That's just how I feel. But man, if you love ocean colors and peacocks, this is your jam. Get these paints. They're pretty. So I'm looking back and I'm realized I had to stretch this one a lot because I don't think I used enough paint, even though I do go over it with a little bit of white paint. Same technique. I'm going to wreck this one too, just so you can see how they retain their lines. I'm going to torch it because for some reason, right after the pours with the Artist Loft, I get air bubbles right away, and I get a lot of them. So I try to get them as quickly as I can because I don't want them popping and leaving strange stuff. So once again, a little bit of white. I think I should have used more paint because these pre-mixed paints sometimes absorb into those. I'm using a wooden canvas here. If you weren't using a wooden canvas, it might not absorb as much. But it did absorb a little bit, so I think I should have used more paint there. All right, let's wreck it. I'm going to do the same wreck. I'm going to try to replicate, or at least get it as close as I could. I know the colors are slightly different. This one's more on the blue side. The other one's more on the turquoise, you know, kind of green side. I hate that wreck right there. I'm not going to lie. I don't know why I did that little circle. Seemed like a good idea at the time. Oh well, what can you do? I just wanted to be creative. I'm an artist. You know what I'm doing? So yeah, just a super simple wreck, as they call it. Just 3 little swipes, just like the other one. And now I'll tilt. It's gonna take a little while because they were already absorbing. They were thicker than I remembered, and I should have used more. But yeah. Going ahead and getting the negative space out of the way. I'm really happy I used the bright blue for that. It's tight. I really like that. Really good contrast in that corner. So a lot of people's hesitance for using the pre-mixed paints is that they're too expensive. And I'd like to address that because even though I think the bottles individually are kind of expensive, just as an example, for 8-ounce bottles of DecoArt, it's I think $5 or $6.99. For 16 ounces of Artist Loft, it is $14.99. And I agree, that's pretty expensive, especially since you're going to go through those a lot if you're doing larger paintings. But at the same time, I just spent like $17 on 2 ounces of, you know, professional golden paints. Typically, I do use Liquitex Basics for a lot of my stuff, but I think the quality is really good for these paints, and I think the quality is good for golden, so I will pay a little bit more to get the quality that I need. So I mean, again, I think it just depends on what you're looking for. I think they are a little bit on the expensive side, but I don't think that's a reason to compare it to other things. Because like I said, I just, you know, for the Golden's Heavy Body, which is a favorite among acrylic pourers, you know, we'll easily spend like 15 to even more on a 2-ounce bottle of heavy body paint, which we then have to mix with a ton of Floetrol just to even get it, you know, thin enough to pour with. So I'm not going to make too much of a stink about the prices. I do wish they were a little bit cheaper, but I just comparatively to some of the other stuff I've bought in terms of supply, I don't think it's out of the question. You know, I think if you're doing a certain technique and you know it's going to work with these paints, I would say go for it, you know. I think it only seems more expensive ratio-wise because, yeah, if you're using Liquitex Basics and a giant jug of Floetrol, yeah, I could see that being less expensive. But again, we all buy different supplies. We all have some pro paint in our, you know, in our collection. So I base it off of that, you know. I base it off of quality. If the quality's good, yep, I will pay 17 bucks for 2 ounces of paint. If these premixed paints are good, I will pay the $6.99 or $14.99 for these bottles. So that's where I stand on that. Again, I know a lot of people made a stink about the prices, but I think that they're worth it if you can swing it, and if you want a certain quality or a certain style, just like any other paint, just like any other thing that we've bought. So, Dad, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I'm sure no one was listening to that little mini rant. People were watching the tilt. It was literally almost the same tilt. So let's take a look at this painting. It's really cool. I was actually shocked that I got similar results. I didn't think I was. This one has more shading in it. It has more of this blend, especially on the bottom right corner there where I did that terrible wreck. Oy. It's also lighter. It's a little more pastel. I think the colors are a little more subdued. It might be how I layered them, obviously, but they're a little more subdued. I know that the bright blue in the negative space dries very dark, so I was hoping that when it dried, some of those darker accents will come out, but I'm impressed. I'm extremely impressed by the way the Artist Loft handled the jiggle pour and handled the wreck. I think if I layered this the way I kind of intended to, I think it would look even better. But I'm not mad at this. This is gorgeous. It's not my typical color palette, but it's the technique I love, and I'm really happy with it. So let's do the close-up real quick. There you go. This is before it's dry, and it is a little bit muddy right there, but my hope was that when it dried, some of the accents will come back up. So yeah, very, very impressed. And now you guys know how I do the jiggle plus the wreck on these pours and the technique I use to get the symmetry. I hope that was really helpful. I have a side-by-side here. Oh, okay, never mind. I apparently wanted to show you it upside down as well. Here's the side-by-side. Tell me which one you prefer. If you like them both, I like them both. To be quite honest, I think I still lean towards the DecoArt. I like how much thicker it is, and I just like, I don't, it's a really, really hard choice. I really like them both, but I think I prefer the DecoArt because it's a little bit thicker, and I can just see the definition a little bit better, but I could see myself having a lot of fun with kind of the transparent nature of the Artist Loft, especially for the jiggle pours. It did, in fact, darken after it dried. Both of them did, as I thought. Those blues and purples, they will always darken overnight. In fact, sometimes the Artist Loft Bright Blue, it darkens so much it actually takes over the painting. It didn't this time. I think it is the perfect amount that it darkened. And it did actually bring up some of those accents that were a little bit muddier when it was wet. So, yes, this was a lot of talking and a lot of painting. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you find it informative for the technique, and I hope you learned something about the premixed paints. Maybe this will, you know, dictate which one you spend your money on. I think they're both really good paints for different techniques. And yeah, if you have a comment or a rant, or you didn't like my TED Talk on prices, go ahead and leave a comment in the comments section, and I will be back with another painting video at some point in the future. Thanks for watching.